welcome to Weekly Creek.
Hello.
And we have a special guest with us.
Are you going anonymous?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Do you tell us what your name is, or maybe an alias you want to go by?
No, I can't. I didn't think of aliases. You can call me Manelli.
Okay.
Manelli
Cool.
is fine.
Okay, so this is Manelli. We've been friends since 4th grade, so since 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to tell you how many years that is, because then you'll find out too much about us. All right, so we'll start with my story. And my story is local. I'm going to try to keep it local for a while. And when I say local, I mean just around Texas, for people who haven't gathered that we live in Texas.
But just for the Irish people, that could literally be anywhere in Europe. That's the size of Texas.
Yeah.
So that's how local these stories are.
All right. So this story takes us to our very backyard. Not literally, but figuratively. We're going to be talking about the Jefferson Davis Hospital.
Ooh.
Is that the one that in Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Cool.
All right. So a little bit about Jefferson Davis Hospital. It operated from 1924 to 1938 as a city-owned hospital that focused on poorer patients in Houston, Texas. The plan was to build the hospital on top of a cemetery.
Great idea.
Wow. And I'm not surprised.
So the municipal cemetery operated on the lot from 1840 until the mid-1890s, when it fell into decay. The cemetery was full of unmarked graves. It was essentially just not taken care of at that point when they started planning where to put the hospital.
Yeah, it's just old issue.
Yeah, but the family, well, I'll tell you. Confederate soldiers, yellow fever, and cholera victims were buried here, but their families were still alive and present in Houston. So that sort of, pissed a lot of people off.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't looking after the graves, but they also didn't want them moved.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, it's not that, so they did. The city promised to relocate the bodies, but instead only moved a few and then just went ahead and built the hospital on the rest of them.
That's a classy move right
Yeah. I don't know if at the time they told them, hey, we moved all the bodies.
there. Yeah, no, there was only 6.
Yeah.
6 gravestones.
Or maybe they knew. I don't know. I feel like they might have lied about it and
They probably planned it and then they were like, oh fuck, this is going to be like way more expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, after that, they then slapped Jefferson Davis's name on the hospital in a piss poor attempt to appease the families of the dead.
Nice.
Seriously. The hospital was complete in 1924 and opened for business in 1925. The hospital was only open for about 13 years. It closed its doors in 1939 because it couldn't keep up with providing health care needs to a rapidly increasing population of poor folk.
Mm-hmm.
Medical services were then redirected to the Texas Medical Center. For some clarification, Jefferson Davis Clinic was built to be a psychiatric and community facility. So there's 2 buildings. One was a hospital and the other one is a psychiatric clinic.
In the same place though, like the same campus?
No.
Oh.
So the hospital is in what we know now as First Ward, and Jefferson Davis Clinic was built on Allen Parkway in 1934. So, I think there's like a misconception that it was primarily a psychiatric ward, but they probably confused the clinic and the hospital with each other.
Okay.
Not to say that they didn't treat mental illness in the hospital, but they didn't do exclusively that.
Yeah, it was just a general hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like I said, as for the rumors about this being haunted because of mentally ill patients, it's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Davis Hospital mostly served as a record storage facility after Davis Clinic was built. By 1980s, Jefferson Davis Hospital just still lay vacant and deteriorated. Because of the rumors of it being haunted, in 2003, a group went to ghost hunt and instead were shot and killed by criminals who were already there.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is the risk that you run whenever you go to like vacant buildings.
Yeah.
Because it attracts people who want to do things that they
Are
don't want other
outside,
people to
yeah.
see. Yeah,
Privacy.
exactly. And also homeless people, you know, I'm not to say that, you know, there's
Yeah, but there's people there that shouldn't be there, and
Yeah.
you also shouldn't be there. So how many people were killed?
I'm not sure. It just said a group. I couldn't find much about it.
It was just a group of kids. Probably.
Yeah. The building attracts people up to no good, and also the homeless. I guess I already said that. But yeah, so that's what happened. And so I found a few like personal accounts of people that go in there, you know, to ghost hunt or whatever.
Yeah.
And they do notice that, you know, sometimes they'll see like homeless people posted up, vagrants, you know, just if not just if anything else, sketchy people, you know. Since 2005, it was renovated and remade into lofts that artists can rent to work in or live in. It's called Elder Street Artist Lofts.
What?
Yeah, so there was a first-hand account of someone who lived there, said that my little sister had an apartment here in Elder Lofts. In her room, there were 2 kids that would play marbles. I saw the little boy out of the corner of my eye.
2 dead kids.
Basically.
Like ghost children, not
Yeah.
just regular kids.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, where were the kids? Like, in what time would they have died?
I'm guessing whenever the hospital was open.
Right.
Because after that they just used it for storage stuff, you know.
Okay. Before it became like fully abandoned there.
Yeah,
Okay.
right before it was abandoned, it was a storage facility. So, but outside of that, like I was trying to look for stories, like paranormal stories, experiences, after it got renovated, but literally nothing. Or if there are people that, you know, like they'll explicitly say, since I've lived here, there's nothing that's been going on,
Yeah.
or whatever. But I have a theory. I feel like that's gonna be our thing, like,
Okay.
or my thing. I have a theory.
It's time for it.
Ding ding ding.
So, like, okay, so there is a problem with people still trying to go there. Like, because it's private property. If you go over there, you're essentially trespassing if you don't live there, or if you're not visiting someone that you know there. Basically the definition of trespassing. So if there's security there that watch like hawks to make sure that nobody that's not supposed to be there is there, because they'll fucking kick you out like super quick.
Yeah, because now it's just apartments and shit.
Yeah, but you know, like the paranormal community can be very persistent in their like pursuit of awesome evidence. So I think the reason why a lot of people who live there say that there's nothing going on, they're like, we promise there's nothing going on, is to stop people from coming to trespass, because it's become a problem.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I'm saying?
understandable. Like if I'm in a place, I don't care where it is or how haunted it is, get out of my fucking lobby. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, with your spirit boxes and stuff.
And I feel like artists would be the people to be a little bit more tolerant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And then, you know, I also have a theory about that. I feel like because, well, now you can, apparently now anyone can rent. You don't have to be like an artist to live there. But I think, like, say I was an artist and I lived there, and, you know, I'm still not known for my work. If I'm the only one that's willing to be like, yeah, there's a fucking ghost little girl in my room, I don't want to be famous for the artist who has a little girl living in it in her closet. I want to be known for my work.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's another reason why.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What do you guys think?
I think we should go. Let's go trespass.
I'm not trying to go to jail. All right, so before let's rewind a little bit. When it was vacant, it's super fucking hard. This was one of the hardest subjects that I've had to research because it's like pulling teeth trying to find people's firsthand experiences when they went to ghost hunt when it was vacant. Mm-hmm. But I did find one lonely forum.
Okay.
Okay. So this is from a Lord Nikon, and he says, many have gone into this establishment and have had their own personal experiences, such as being watched, seeing shadows, and smelling sterilization solutions in certain spots.
That's gross.
Yeah. All right, so
Wow.
I know. NME Locus says, the most haunted floor is the 3rd floor. I saw shadows running down the hall and thought it was my friends, but when I followed them into the room, no one was there. I felt like I was being messed with. I cannot confirm because there were no other witnesses to see the silhouette. The 4th floor is the mechanical room where the motor that powers the elevator shaft is located. 2nd floor has concrete rooms where the patients stayed. The rooms are small, but there are rooms everywhere. The ground level is where they have file rooms. A few times in there I have sensed and heard one of my friends behind me, but as I turn around there's no one there.
That's like those like trickster fucking ghosts.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Curios says, the hospital looked more like a mental ward on the inside. I was with a group of 5, so everyone was pretty tripped out. Inside we found some hospital beds and stretchers, nothing out of the ordinary. But when we hit the 2nd floor, we found some rib spreaders and a lot of blankets.
Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How do they know what like? This is a rib spreader.
I know.
If ever I saw one.
I just thought,
And
like,
a
how
fine-
would
a
someone
fine
know
one
that?
at that, yeah.
Well, they found blankets. They know what blankets are. I have less questions about
What are
that.
these gigantic tissues? This is a giant head.
The 3rd floor was where it gets interesting. We found some reels of film. I took one, but lost it sometime last year. What the fuck?
What a dick. Curios, you're a dick.
The cool stuff was on the film. Damn it!
Of course it was.
I'm hoping to find another one while shooting the video. Anyways, I guess they're doing like a...
Yeah.
Anyways, on the film was a lot of people in straitjackets and some doctors removing vital organs. It was awesome. Black and white, of course. The 4th floor sucked. Just bloody walls and sheets.
Jesus.
And how did she know? Did she see it?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So I guess like they watched the video, but they never let it out, and then
Yeah.
they found it while they were going around themselves.
Mm-hmm. We found a set of stairs leading to the roof. They had caved in, so we tried to find another way up. I found a fire escape ladder outside of one of the windows. Only 2 of us had the balls to go up. Me and my friend Wayne. Good old Wayne.
There's no way there's not ghosts in this place.
Yeah, I thought it was they had made it into a hospital again because of the way that it looked, but I guess they just kept what it looked like.
I'd say it's very cool to live in.
Yeah.
Like ghosts aside, I'd say it's a really like
Nice.
yeah, trendy place.
Alright, so the last story that I found is from Celtic Vixen. We used to go to Jeff Davis at least twice a week. Also, one of the main things I always noticed about the building was that despite the fact that it had been abandoned for many years and basically wide open, there were absolutely no animals inside or anywhere on the grounds. Not a single bird, raccoon, cat, or even a bug were ever seen while we were there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, because like you almost forget to notice that the things that should be there aren't there.
Yeah.
So that it's, like when you hear a dead silence, it's almost deafening.
Yeah.
Like it had to have been like so
Yeah,
poignant.
you
to
would
be
need
like,
there should be rats and shit running around.
Where the fuck are all the rats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've actually heard that before about other like larger places that are supposedly haunted, like birds and shit won't fly over them, and
Oh yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
Unlike one time when I was out somewhere ghost hunting and a fucking pigeon was in the room with us. Scared the shit out of them. So, like, I started making noises and shit. Like, what?
Yeah, that's scary.
So yeah, that's my story. That's all I got about Jefferson Davis Hospital.
Yay.
Right on.
I wanted to include. I feel like I'm bogarting this episode here. What do you guys think?
I don't know what that means.
Like hogging it.
Oh no, you're fine. I don't have anything. Birds.
So what do you guys think? Like, what have you guys heard of the hospital?
I was told to go and check it out by a friend of ours. But I mean, I'm obviously not going to do that now that I know that people got shot there trying to do the same thing, and that it's apartments. But we should definitely try and make friends with people who live there.
What about you, Manali?
I have heard of it, but I think I saw a documentary on it, and it was kind of focusing on the people who live there now, I want to say. And I think there were a few people that were saying that they had like things happening, but they couldn't afford to live anywhere else. I think that's in my memory somewhere, but yeah, it was a hospital that was haunted, a psych ward. Had it turned into, was it? Or that was okay.
Well, that's like the common misconception.
Well, okay. Well, it was like a hospital, but there were it was like an artist community now. So. And
like, if you're an upcoming artist, odds are you don't have that much money anyway.
Yeah.
So, and they're probably paying more to stay in these super trendy places than they would have been in the first place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. Like, I wouldn't. Like, everybody says it. Like, oh, why didn't you just move out? But like, you're not going to give up your 2 or 3 months rent that you've already put in, and then you got to go find another place and put down deposits there and shit like that. So.
And some places you like sign a lease contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's lease contracts can be up to a year.
Yeah.
That's the use. Yeah, like, I don't know. Put up the ghost.
Yeah.
Just feel like keep it down.
Well, I have a friend. So I have a friend who listens to the podcast, and he actually told me a funny story that happened to him while he was listening to our podcast. So I was like, when he told me, I was like, dude, I gotta have this on the fucking podcast, you know? And I was like, okay, look, meet me on my break. I will type this shit up, and I'm gonna ask you some questions so I can get the story right.
I love it.
He's like, okay. So, anyways, so he told me the story, and this is how it goes. I call it Fred's story.
Oh, Fred.
Shout out to Fred. Earlier this day, the day that he was listening to the podcast. Earlier that day, I had a premonition that something strange would happen at home. It was a passing thought. Later, I was in bed at 8:45 p.m. I was listening to your podcast, and I turned it off because I was dozing off. He works the night shift. I crashed, and I went into a deep sleep. At 10:45, my smoke alarm went off. My smoke alarm talks, and it said, "House on fire."
Jesus Christ.
If one alarm in my house goes off, they all go off. I have a general house alarm too, so it was very loud. I started running to check the rooms, and it turned off while I was still running around. I checked the garage because I have combustibles, and nothing. I went back to bed, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I got up one more time just to make sure, but still nothing.
That's so funny. Can you imagine, like, don't panic or anything, but the house is on fire.
Wow.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
that's
like,
not gonna freak you out.
I was like, your fucking alarm talks? He's like, yeah, like it just said like fire in house or house on fire or something like that.
So it's the fire alarm in the house?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like he said that when that went off, all the fucking alarms in the house went off. So
That's
imagine
crazy.
like being woken up,
Yeah.
like in that way. You're
And
just like in a
nothing?
panic. Yeah, and there was no fire, no smoke, no nothing. They just went off, and I'm like, dude, did they ever does it ever happen like that before? He's like, no, they've never malfunctioned that before.
And in episode 1, you were talking about how you and your mom were trying to find the smell of burning
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe that's
in
why
the
he
house.
had
You know, like that's
thought
a
about
Oh
that.
pretty
God.
coincidental. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But I will say, like being woken up by a like any sort of alarm is like terrifying or whatever.
Mhm.
But it did happen to me before. I was staying in this like old hostel that was actually built for, like nuns, basically in Glendalough in Wicklow. So anybody who like it's a big tourist destination, and so a lot of Americans who've been there will know. Anyway, we were there with the scouts, and I was like sick to the point where I must have had a fever because the night before I had started like I saw an old man come into the place while everybody else was outside sitting around the fire, all the kids and stuff. And I was like, I had stayed in and I was like, oh, I'm just going to close my eyes for a minute. And then in that like kind of half sleep, weird fever dream, this old man in a big cloak like came in and like saw me, put his fingers to his lips and was just like, shh, like it's all right. Like it wasn't, like there was literally, I didn't feel freaked out or anything. And he just really quietly closed the door. Like he took such care to close the door because I was there asleep. So anyway, I woke up. Then I freaked out and just like left and didn't tell anyone. But the next morning, I was obviously still sick. And I was having this dream where the room where we were sleeping in was actually a little like chapel room that was built on. So it looked fucking spooky. Like it had like, you know, the little red lights and stuff like that. And there's like pictures of the Virgin Mary and a little thing where you can kneel and pray.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, in this dream, this nun, in like her full get-up, like it was blue and white as opposed to black and white, is just screaming, standing at like say at my shoulders with her feet either side of my head, screaming in my face, over and over and over again. The smoke alarm in the kitchen was actually what woke me up, and in my dream that turned into screams. And then like in this whole fever thing I was like, so when I woke up I was like had chills. I was like, get me the fuck out of here. So I can only imagine if that was actually talking to you, how scary that would be, waking up like your house is on fire.
That's insane. I would have had a meltdown.
And funny enough, like that place was the least haunted of like, other than those two, which I am convinced was just like fever dreams. It was the other hostel that we used to stay in, the more modern one, that was where we actually had shit happen. It was the first time I ever had anything weird happen. Alright.
Alright, before we get started with Manelli, shout out to our listeners in New Zealand.
And Australia.
Yeah.
And Netherlands. And also the UK. I think we have about 4 or 5 people between all those places.
Hi, you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
International.
Yeah, yay!
Yay.
Alright, so Nelly.
So, Manelli, tell us a little bit about yourself
Yeah.
and your paranormal experiences.
Well, I guess the most prominent story I want to talk about, well, the most prominent thing in my mind as far as hauntings would be growing up in a haunted house where I lived from the time I was about 3 or 4 to almost 14.
Okay.
So basically shaped a lot of my childhood in this house. And basically I was frightened the whole time we lived there, because before we moved in, we got to know the family. There was a married couple with a son, and they mentioned their daughter a lot, who wasn't wasn't physically there, but she had just passed away. And I think that's why they were trying to sell the house, because the mom was dealing with a lot being in the house.
They wanted just like a fresh start. Kind of
Yeah, I don't know how long ago it had been before that they had lost their child before we moved in, but she kept. I remember the lady would always hug me a lot, and she'd say that I looked just like her little girl, and the little girl died and she drowned. So
on the property, or
no, there was no pool on
Okay.
the property. So I'm guessing it was this one neighborhood pool
okay,
where I think we
it's
would
like
go
a
to.
sad accident.
Yeah. So she just there was so many occurrences just growing up in that house with noises, and everyone that would come over and go visit us, there was always something they would say, and it almost became just like she was just a part of the house, you know?
Yeah.
The way it was always la niña, like we always refer to her as la niña, which means the little girl. And I remember this one very specific time I was by myself, and actually no, I think my sister was asleep next to me, but we were in this living room, which, by the way, it used to be a garage, but we converted it into a living room.
Cool.
So me and my sister were asleep on the floor in that living room, and I was playing with the little bell, and I kept ringing it, and it was like a glass bell, so it was porcelain or something, so it dinged really loud and sharp. So I was ringing the bell, and I would put my blanket over my head, and I would, I was just like basically trying to fall back asleep, but I couldn't fall back asleep, so I would pick up the blanket back, I'd take the blanket off me again. So, and I was playing with the bell the whole time. So in one of the times where I just put the bell down and put the blanket over my head, I hear the bell ring.
Oh,
and I pick up the blanket, I get the blanket off of me. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, maybe it fell or something.
yeah.
I looked, and the bell was just sitting right there, like standing up how I had left it. So and I was still like so little at the time that really didn't scare me. But there was a lot of instances where my mom everyone had left the house. I think my older sister was visiting. My mom stayed back by herself, and she said that she was sitting on her bed, and basically she felt someone come in and sit next to her. And she thought it was my sister. She thought it was my older sister, because my older sister was like such a jokester. So she was like, oh, she stayed back to scare me. She's gonna try to jump up on me, or surprise me. So she like tries to scare my sister instead, and she's like, like, hey, like yells. She turns around and says like, whoo, like I caught you or something. And she doesn't see anything, and the bed just like lifts by itself.
So
like
she actually sees the indent.
Yeah, so she sees
Okay.
like the bed actually like, like it. The
Like a
indent
person
came
got
up.
up, like,
yeah, like if
Yeah.
someone got up off the bed. And so I was asking my sisters the other day, and my mom, I was telling them how I was going to be on here talking about scary stories. And I was like, I was asking my older sister, I was like, did you ever see her? And she was like, yeah.
What?
I was like, when? She's like, I saw her. She would I was like, when did you see her? She's like, she would walk by. She's like, one time she's like, I thought it was you. And that was always what people would say. I thought it was you. You know, because at that, I guess when they first discovered there was a little girl, or, you know, it was at that age when I first moved in, I was about 3 or 4.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing that the little girl was around 3 or 4.
When she died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would wear a lot of little, like, white nightgowns.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not creepy at all.
Yeah, and it's so weird because I loved wearing, that's all I wanted to wear. Even on my 3rd birthday, I, like, fought my mom to keep on my white nightgown.
Mm-hmm.
And that little girl, they would see her in, like, a white little dress. So she would just, like, said it nonchalant. Like, she's like, yeah, I saw her. She walked by, like, Ruby ran outside or something, and I saw I think she thought it was me or something, but then it wasn't.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And she said it looked like, I was asking her, did she look transparent, or was it like, you know, like a girl, like, you know, a flesh and blood, like 3-dimensional child.
Yeah.
And she pointed to the white grocery bag. She's like, it looked like the bag. Basically, that's how transparent it was.
Whoa.
Not like
Not
completely,
solid.
but yeah.
So what, like opaque, is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah. So another time we were all playing, me, my sister, and my cousin, we would stay up till like the wee hours, like past midnight, playing Barbies. We were like addicted to Barbies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like our, you know, like
That was your shit.
that was our shit. Like, we love Barbies, and that's all we would do for fun. So we stayed up one night, like, really late. I don't know what time it was. Everyone was already asleep in the house, and there was this hallway that just, it was a small hallway, but that's the hallway we were playing in. And everything's going as usual, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hear like a baby cry. Do we have a baby noise sound? A baby crying noise? Like, you know, like really loud. Like it sounded like a very small
like
child. One loud baby cry, like very loud and very. We all heard it.
Yeah.
We all heard it, and
Can you do that again?
I don't remember. I think we all ran to the room. I want to say that we all ran to the room, and
But so the noise was in that hall.
It was in there with us.
Crazy.
Like, now that I think about it, like that was in there. but the next day when we woke up, we were telling my mom, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sure it was like." Because the neighbor had a little girl that lived next door, like 2 years old. She was like, I'm sure it was just, she said her name. She's like, I'm sure it was just a little girl that lives next door. She was probably crying outside or something. They were probably out there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, I kind of let myself be talked into it a little. But, like, that's what happened. There was a very loud child's cry, like, all of a sudden out of nowhere. And,
yeah, fuck that, I think.
And then this one very creepy time, I'm remembering now the times where I really just was like, like, out of my mind. It's traumatizing. We were laying down on this little twin-size bed, and I think I told Lucia this. We had a big dresser in the middle and a twin-size bed on each side for me and my sister, as we shared a room, which also happened to be, as we later found out, the little girl's room that had lived there before. Jeez. So me and my sister had the 2 twin beds, but I would sleep with my sister because I was scared of the little girl.
Right.
So, and we had bought all these brand new Barbies that night.
Fuck yeah.
at KB Toy Store. And so we had played with our Barbies, and then we left all our Barbies on our dresser, and it was like one of those big dressers that has shelves and everything. We left all our Barbies there standing up, and so I was asleep on my sister's bed, and all of a sudden my sister, she used to like play around and scare me because that was so funny to her.
Of course.
So this time though, I was on her bed and the lights were off and everything. We're going to sleep, and we hear a tapping sound, and it sounded like a tapping, like loud with nails, like on the desk. So it's like, but louder and heavier.
Yeah.
And I was like, my sister, I was like, stop it. Stop it. And she was like, I'm not doing anything. And it kept going. It was like, it kept going and going. And I was like, for real, stop. And she's like, I'm not doing anything. I thought it was you. So I turn around and the tapping is still going, but my sister's my sister's hands are in the air. Like she's showing me that she's not doing it by waving both her hands. Hasn't stopped. Yeah, and the tapping is just like, so me and her just scream and run out to my parents' room, and we slept with my parents that night.
Damn.
And so like,
it's good the second time I hear it.
Yeah,
it's
like
so good.
But the whole time, like, obviously you guys were scared because, like, you can't explain these weird noises and stuff. But like, you knew already, like the family knew that this is a little girl that's going around, and like, was there anything like bad about it, or was it just that like?
It was just that
scary.
It wasn't dark. It wasn't a dark. It didn't seem heavy.
Yeah.
It was just that, like, the fact that we knew. It just seemed, I don't know how to put it.
It was just like so out of the ordinary. Probably,
yeah, but I was such a young kid that I'm like at this age I'm like, well, it's a child that passed away, and
she just wants attention. She's probably really happy that you guys are there.
Doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in the afterlife with her. At this point I can understand that, but when I was a small child, it's just like, it's spooky as hell.
Oh, still, if that happened to me today, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. I'd be in with your mom and
dad. Yeah, so, I mean, it's just like very, like, since you can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And then, so I feel like I've been a little traumatized after, like, just for the rest of my life of little girl ghosts.
Yeah.
And so, like, sorry, was that the last story that you remember? Or?
No, I remember a lot of other stories, but that was like the highlights, like the things that happened to me.
So, like, when you guys moved from that house, when you were like 14, did all activity stop, or do you think like?
No, I mean, I think we've lived in. This is our third house since we've moved from that house.
Okay.
So I think in each house that we've lived in, the energy is different in each house. But when we moved to the house, when we left the house where the little girl was, I didn't feel the same energy at our next house.
Okay.
So she probably stayed there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then, the house that we lived after that, after the second house, the energy was like not haunted, but heavy there. So, it's like, I feel like in different houses, just different shit happens, and it's all, you don't know, like, who has passed there, even if they didn't live there, there could be no records of what happened. So, I just feel like it's different in each house.
Yeah.
But, and, like, also, do you think having the experiences when you were so young, and like the whole family experiencing, like, even like strangers and stuff coming into the house, right? Like, strangers to the little girl, like, do you think that made you guys all more like sensitive to like different energies and shit like that, or just more accepting of it?
Maybe more accepting of it, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, more accepting, more, what is it? Just tolerant to it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like this is just a part of life, and that's
yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, in general, I feel like you're just a more receptive person. So, like, receptive people, they're like these, I guess, lighthouses that these, like, paranormal situations will, you attract these kinds of, not so much you attract them, or I guess you could, like, if they see that you can see them, you know, you're just open. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe it's like, oh well, this lady's not gonna run out of here if I like move this cup, or you know what I mean? So
like she can see me, so maybe I'll like see if I can tell her something.
Yeah, see how far we can push it.
How far we can, because I mean, other times I've been very scared and like, get
Tell
me
us
the hell
about
out
those
of
times.
it.
Yeah.
Like when we saw the image of this man in Mexico.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
So me and my sister and my cousins in Mexico, we were out in Mexico in this little town, and since it's a little town, behind the town there's just like a bunch of, it's nothing, it's just ranches and farms, whatever. And people's just like big property. There's no lights. It's pitch black.
Open spaces.
Yeah.
Is it like desert or a field?
No, it's grass.
Okay.
But it's just, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Basically until you get to the next town, and they're far from each other. So we were hanging out with our cousin's friends, and they were talking about how there's this, just telling a story, this old story. We thought it was like a myth, just whatever. And they're like, yeah, there's this guy that you want to see him, you want to go see him. He's like, he was a ranch owner or something. He's like, we can go see him. I don't even know how it got brought up.
Was he like a ghost or something that they were talking about?
I guess I don't even remember what they were talking about, but it somehow got brought up that this you can go here and see this,
Right.
this attraction. We can do this for fun, because it's a very small town.
Yeah.
So we go driving into the night. We go driving behind. So we get further. We're out behind the town, and everything is like pitch black now, and we're passing up like this cemetery. Just
nice.
throw that in there. There's a cemetery, and then even further out than the cemetery is, we get into like this big property. There wasn't gates or anything. Maybe there was, but we didn't have to stop or anything. We just drove into it. And it's a little car, and it's about the passenger, the driver, and then like 3 or 4 of us in the back. And so we pull up, there's like this little tree right there, like right in front of us, and they turn the headlights on. And when you turn the headlights on, we saw the image of a man standing there. And I was freaked out, but I noticed he had on like a he wasn't looking straight at us, he was looking at something else, and so I was just seeing like his side of him.
Profile.
Yeah, his side profile, and it was basically looked like a hologram, where it's like transparent, but you can still see what he's wearing. So he had on like a flannel shirt, jeans, a cowboy hat, and it's just this image of a man just standing there. And at this point, like, there is nothing out there for them to create this on their own.
The middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and this was even more like over 10 years ago. But yeah, it was like the middle of nowhere, and so and I freaked out. I screamed. I was like, "Let's get out of here!" My sister wanted to get closer,
fucking room.
Yeah, she's always been about like scary stuff, but she wanted to close her. But that night I slept with everything on because it's just like it was just his energy, I guess, like the image. It's like a picture, that you take. So his energy got imprinted there. I think they said that he got ran over when they were cutting the grass or something with those big grass cutting machines.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I think that it killed him or something. And he was taking a nap.
Oh.
And it ran over him, and
Jesus
that's how it happened.
So now he's just standing there going like, what the fuck happened? He's like, every night he's just stood there kicking dirt, just being like...
yeah, he probably doesn't know he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
That's fucking crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
And so, like, what was your most recent scary shit that's happened to you? Or, like, if you want, obviously. Like, is stuff like that still happening?
Yeah, that stuff happened.
I'm telling you, man, Manelli has the best stories.
But this is what, like, I'm just trying to see how you feel about the whole thing in general.
This, like I said, I've gotten, and I feel like my mom too, like the house we live in now, my grandmother passed away in that house. It wasn't her permanent residence, but she did pass away there.
Okay.
And so we feel her energy a lot in that house, but I feel like there's also other energies there too. And I think the most recent thing that I've noticed is that every time my mom leaves the house, every time she goes out of town or no one's home with us, the ceiling fan in the living room downstairs turns on by itself.
Weird.
Yeah, and it's a light and the fan, and it'll be like full force.
That's crazy.
And it's so weird because it happens only when my mom leaves.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. You think she's just like saying, "Don't worry, I'm still here."
Yeah.
Like you can't get away with shit just because your mom's not here. Like.
Probably. No, I don't know what it's saying, honestly. I feel like that is just I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's from my grandmother. Mm-hmm. It just feels like something.
It's just some random shit that
it's just random, but my grandmother is more of the feeling it's when you feel someone behind you. Kind of. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Have you been to my house? Or have you ever felt like
your house is creepy? No. No. So like whenever so there was a hurricane that passed through here, and our house got flooded. So I stayed at Manelli's house for a few months, and she has this room upstairs, and it's like a cool ass room. Like it has like those slanted it has a slanted ceiling, like it's a little room or whatever. Okay. And I like upon like it's like a cute little loft thing, right? But sleeping in that room gives me the creeps. Like I would have trouble sleeping. Like back then I would drink and I would like get hammered just so that I could fall asleep. Because I would get the creeps, you know? Yeah. But, like, I'm not sensitive to those things. So if something were to happen, like, I wouldn't see it. Yeah. But it just felt like a little creepy in that house. Mm-hmm. And, like, when Manelli would tell me the things that happened in her house, you know, back then and now, I'm like, well, of course it fucking makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to stay in your house. Like, you
know, and like I think the only time where I feel like I'm at ease is when I'm not alone. Like when someone's with me, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Right. You know, maybe it's because whoever I'm with in your house, they have like calming energy to me. Right. So that's why I feel fine, and it kind of just blocks anything else that might be in the house for me.
Yeah.
But when I was alone, I'd be
no-go.
nervous.
Yeah,
That's
fair
weird
enough.
because I do actually get kind of freaked out when I'm alone. Like I
Yeah.
feel better when someone is with
Mm-hmm.
me. But I didn't know that's why you're getting hammered every night.
Yeah.
That's probably not the only reason.
Yeah.
But no, that's interesting. So, like, do you think? Because I, like, personally, I'm about as sensitive as a fucking tree. Like, I just don't pick up on energies at all. Like, even
Yeah.
from like living people, I just like don't pick up on social cues maybe. But like I've heard of people saying like, oh, well, that's like more masculine energy. This is a more feminine energy.
Oh,
like,
right.
have you ever been like? Do you think that maybe this energy makes you guys feel uncomfortable because it is?
A masculine energy.
So, yeah, like maybe it's an older
Maybe, and I feel like
resident.
yeah, in the house we live in now, I feel like it is also a masculine energy in there, because I have a cousin who's very receptive to these things, and he has told me that he has seen like a dark shadow of like a tall man like pass by through the hallway, and he thought it was my brother because my brother was there, and my brother's very tall, but he said he looked over to the couch and saw that my brother was asleep on the couch. So it's like a tall shadow of it was like a man. And then my mom has mentioned before that when she's asleep downstairs, it was one more recent, like a few weeks back, said that she got really so spooked out one night that she went to sleep back in her room because she felt like someone was staring at her, like a man was staring at her.
Right.
And then I think there was another instance of that happening before that too, of her like saying that she felt like a man was staring at her.
Yeah. So normally she sleeps in the living room, right?
Yeah, normally she sleeps in the living room because she says it feels better for her back on the couch.
Fair enough.
And so I had my sister-in-law was staying with us recently, and she didn't want to sleep in the living room because she said that she was just really scared that she felt like someone was staring at her. Yeah. So she decided to start sleeping in the guest room, which was in the room where my grandmother passed away. And she was saying too also that the energy was it did spook her out, like she felt like someone was behind her, just watching her, especially when she would first go in that back guest room. But then she said that as she started to look more, because there's a picture of my grandmother in there with like a little poem that everyone got when she passed away. And she said as she started to look more at the picture and get familiar with the face, and she read the poem, that it calmed her and that she didn't feel it so much anymore. But she did still feel something. And I think that something is just someone else, something that was there that is probably stuck to the house.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you have someone that's living with you that's a little older, and I remember you mentioned it, and like when you told me this, it fucking made my blood cold. But it was so fucking cool. Can you tell us what it was? Like what happened and what? Because your cousin, she's not skittish, naturally, right?
My sister-in-law?
Or your sister-in-law, sorry. She's not skittish.
No.
But when she was at your house taking care of Tony.
Yeah.
Like while she was there, she was getting spooked about stuff.
Yeah, so Tony is this elderly woman that was my mom's friend. When they both went to the same church like 20 years ago, and she was like one of my mom's best friends. So eventually, as Tony got older, my mom has become basically her full-time caregiver. So she lives with us, and there's been a lot of instances with Tony, but this past time, my sister-in-law, I mean, things are always like she talks in the middle of the night. She basically she has dementia, so when she doesn't talk coherently. You can't really make out what she's saying.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night, she wakes up and she's having like full on conversations. And she says she's talking to her mom. She's always talking about a little girl. She's always saying, la niña, la niña, la niña.
Okay.
You know, everything that she's talking about, it's la niña.
Yeah.
So, my sister-in-law was staying at our house because she was caring for the old lady, for my mom. And, she basically, what she was saying was the old lady is now, she's now sleeping in my grandmother's old room. So when my sister-in-law would go and walk the old lady, because you have to help her walk to bed and everything,
Okay.
you have to like assist her. So when she would go and do that, she said that she felt like something was right behind her. And the first time that she went to lay her down, it was one of the first times she went to lay her down, the old lady told her, Tony told her, you're really nice to me. She's like, I really like you. And then, my sister-in-law was like, yeah. She's like, I like you too. And then Tony was like, and they think so too.
What?
Yes. So.
Creepy, right? Oh my god.
So yeah, my sister-in-law ran out the house. No.
She made sure Tony was safe.
Yeah,
And then
Tony
she
was in
ran.
bed and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
ran out. Yeah, she was panicked after that. But like I said, she started like getting familiar with the image of my grandmother, and she kind of felt better. But the Tony refers to like I don't know if she's talking about us, you know, everyone that lives with her, or something else.
Or these people that she's talking to,
Yeah,
possibly.
because
Yeah.
she's on basically.
So, like, when she normally talks, she's not coherent. But when she wakes up in the middle of the night and has these conversations, is she lucid then? Or still incoherent?
No, she's. I mean, what she's saying is very clear when she wakes up at night.
That's crazy.
Okay.
It's like, but when you're talking to her in the day, you know, when everyone's awake, you can't really make out what she's saying. I mean, you kind of can,
mumbles
but
and stuff,
she's talking very low. But at night, she just, I don't even know if she's awake, but she's speaking like full sentences, and they're clear as to what she's saying.
And which is like a huge, like, difference than what she is during the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And so it's her mom and the little girl.
Yeah, she talks a lot about her mom, and
I wonder.
always
is it like,
refers to the little
Do you
girl.
think maybe she thinks her mom is your grandma who passed away and she can see her?
Oh, that's a good theory.
I have a theory.
Dun, dun, dun. You know, maybe that
Yeah.
could be. That could be. Because, you know, my grandmother was that, like, she would even talk to get after Tony, like, if Tony was her daughter.
Yeah.
Stuff.
It's just the way she was, like.
She was just motherly.
Yeah, my grandmother's just very motherly. So, and Tony has always been more of, like, a child-like spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So she's never married. She's never had kids. She's just her.
Yeah.
So she's always had this very like childlike, innocent like view to things. So it would make sense if she would refer to my grandmother as her mother.
That's cool though. Yeah. All right. Have you got anything else that's gonna spook us?
Not that I can think of.
I remember this one time you were telling me that you were outside of your house and you saw like a white image, or it was a white man
in the bayou, right?
Oh
You
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
The-
that's good.
So I was just sitting down outside doing things. No, I was facing a view of the bayou outside. It was like behind my garage, and in this view there's a bridge, there's a bayou, and like this little bridge. There's not a bridge, right? It's just like across.
Well, from where you're sitting, you could just see the bayou.
Yeah, so it's just across the bayou that there was, it was nighttime, and I was just sitting out in my car. So I look up, and normally I just be out there, you know, thinking or whatever on the phone. Maybe I was texting someone, and I hadn't got up. So I look up and I see this man, and I didn't pay any attention to him, you know, because I was like, well, and he's across the bayou. So I'm thinking, oh, it's just a man
Just some random.
having
Okay.
his nighttime walk.
Yeah.
But he's wearing, like, what was weird was that he was in a white robe. He was like a pale white man, and I guess paler than most.
White people.
more
Paler
paler than like what you
Noticeably
usually see.
pale,
Yeah,
though, like, yeah.
Was he
noticeably
paler than
pale.
Adam?
I won't
Paler
be
than
offended,
Adam.
yeah.
And he looked older because he was like bald and kind of bigger, like, you know, kind of,
Like heavy set?
yeah, a little heavy set.
Uh-huh.
So he looked like an older man.
Yeah.
And he had on a white robe and like boxers and a t-shirt or like a gown.
Okay.
But I think it was you one time that said maybe a hospital gown,
Yeah.
which then I was like, oh yeah, it looked more
That
like a
makes
hospital
sense,
gown.
Yeah.
So he was just standing there and just staring straight at me, and you know, I didn't notice that he was staring straight at me until I looked up a few more times, and I was like, wait a minute, do you have, like, can I help you? But he's all the way across the bayou, so I couldn't,
Yeah,
I
there
couldn't
was
hear
no interaction,
anything.
like,
Yeah. So, but he is just, I don't know if he was even staring at me or just stuck standing there, but he was basically just like stuck there.
Yeah.
Like no expression, no movement, nothing, just standing straight up and
staring
in my direction.
Yeah.
And nobody else was outside with him. You know, at first I really thought it was like an older man that lived down that street and was just walking or
Yeah.
something, or having some fresh air, but it was like he was just stuck and staring into my direction. So I was like, okay, well, time to go inside. And as I'm walking away, I keep looking back. You know, I'm thinking maybe he'll go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I keep looking back, and it's the same, basically no expression, and just like stuck staring in my direction.
Yeah.
It's still in the same spot.
Yeah. And you had never seen him, like, because you were already sitting in your car when you noticed him. Like, you didn't see him walk up or nothing like that?
No, I didn't see him walk up. It was like he was already there when I looked up.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
why
maybe
he
I
just
didn't
showed up.
notice him,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
he showed up. But when I looked up, he was there.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
like, that's nuts. Though.
And if he did live in the other street, the other street is fucking far from where.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
So
actually
she
know
was
that.
sitting in a car. There's no fucking way somebody would have noticed her sitting there
Yeah,
in her
no.
To be
car
able to
from
stay.
all the way over there.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I wonder, does it go back to like what you were saying with, like, just if you have this, I don't fucking know, whatever you want to call it, like,
Yeah, like a
it does just attract people.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I mean, maybe he was staring at you in the same way, going like, wait, am I really
Can-
fucking seeing this? Like,
Or
you know?
can someone see me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know?
maybe it could have been that.
Interesting. I would be like, I'm still not the person.
Yeah, you got the wrong woman.
I didn't really see you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, like, it's a weird thing, but, like, sometimes at night, like, if we're driving and we're driving past neighborhoods, like, if we're passing by houses, I won't look at windows. Like, if, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
will look straight ahead just in case some weird, because like, my fear is if I look in someone's window and I can see someone that I'm not supposed to be seeing,
Uh-huh.
and when they realize I can see them, they'll fucking follow me. You know what I'm saying?
That's so crazy because I do the exact opposite. I will look into a window to see if I can see anything.
You're just nosy.
I guess. Like, I'm nosy. Like, I want to know if there's spirits in that. No. But yeah, I will stay stuck looking at a window to see if something pops up.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the app that we use to distribute our podcast, Anchor, which is the advert at the start of the episodes and probably in the middle of this one. People can listen to your podcast on the app and then send you messages, voice messages. So we were gonna insert it like properly, but I thought I would just play it into the mic and we can listen to it. So this is from a lady called Sonia, and if you're still listening to this episode, that'd be great, and thank you very much.
I completely 100% love your podcast. Talk about the creepy shit. I love that. I had so much creepy, all kinds of fucked up shit happening when I was growing up, and then when I became it was 19, 20, something like that, another creepy fucking thing happened. So please, keep the shit coming. I absolutely love it. I would love to hear your guys' opinions on sleep paralysis, the hag, the tall man, and the black fedora, or whatever type of hat that is. But yeah, I've experienced them through my sleep paralysis, and I would love to hear more about it.
All right, so that was Sonia, and we really appreciate someone who's not afraid to curse when they're talking, because I definitely believe if you don't curse, I can't trust you that much. You're not being as honest.
Nah.
True.
Okay, well, I mean, thank you, Sonia, for sending that in.
Yeah, and we also want to hear the creepy shit that happened to you. So, and all of our listeners, we really love getting messages like that. Makes this feel a little bit more worthwhile. That you guys are actually listening to it and having fun. So yeah, feel free to send the rest of your stories in.
All right, so real quick, let me cite my sources. Wikipedia, Houston Preservation, and Unexplained Mysteries. I also wanted to plug in Manelli's Instagram handle. It is Pink Moon Mexicana with an X. And I believe that's all one word.
And I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Manelli, for joining us today. It was really fucking cool.
No biggie.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, I like talking about this.
Awesome.
Cool. So yeah, that's it. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Everything is just at Weekly Creep. If you have any stories, if they're a little bit longer, maybe send them to our email, weeklycreep@gmail.com. Otherwise, feel free to just send us voice messages and we'll either play them out directly on the podcast, or if you want, we'll transcribe them for you and read them out. But yeah, that's it. So everybody, have fun, and we'll see you next week.
Be safe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.